Hello and welcome to Kismet Rising. So I'm coming to you this week with your weekly oracle card guidance, and I just want to say a big thanks to all the people that wish me well. I just had a mild cold really, but I was exhausted, so I think it kept me in bed for about a week. But I just want to say thank you to all of you for your well wishes and your support. And I really am sorry that I wasn't able to just really be there for you in the last month. I'd been a bit ill, and then I traveled, and then I came back and I was ill again. And so this is the first time that I'm actually just sitting at my desk and getting a video out to you. And it's really nice to be here with a new perspective and just a fresh energy. I also want to say that I do have an energy forecast that I still need to shoot, and I'm going to try and get it out this week. There's so much going on in terms of the eclipses, in terms of the energy that's been there in the last few weeks, and I'm sure that most of you are feeling it. I think it's as much as astrologers are talking about how negative it can be. I think the negativity is very much, or the turbulence. I wouldn't call it negativity necessarily. I'd call it turbulence. Is more on a global scale. It's on a wider scale. It affects our communities. But on an individual level, we're doing so well. We're becoming more intuitive. We're able to see the truth more really. We're able to access parts of ourselves and heal that part of ourselves. All if we want to, that is. So if you are in a space where you are seeking your happiness in a place where it's obviously not coming from, then you're going to find that you're going to stay in this turmoil or in this difficult space, almost like a hell, for a little bit longer. So I would encourage anyone who's kind of stuck in a situation to try to release themselves in whichever way they can as soon as possible, so that they can partake of this very, very important energy that's coming to our planet in the last weeks, and that we are all benefiting from in terms of allowing us to be more realigned with our soul purposes. And I'll talk about that more in the energy forecast. But for the moment, we are using the Sacred Rebels Oracle, and I don't have anything for you today. I'm sure you can just choose between 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to go ahead and begin the reading. So for those of you who've chosen the option number 1, we're asking, what is our weekly Oracle card guidance? What is the message that we need to know at this moment? So the card we have is the number 26. And the caption reads, relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. And I feel this is very much aligned with the some of what I've said in the introduction here today. I think that this really speaks to being able to release anything that's holding you back in your life right now, just to be able to release it with ease. And if you let it be, if you allow it to be, if you consider this possibility, then what you're going to find is that it's easier to let go of things right now. It's really a time of being able to let go and to be able to restart and to be able to allow yourself to be put in a new direction in terms of your soul purpose. And so I think this card here is really talking about allowing whatever it is that's holding you back, whatever it is that's a negative influence on your life, or whatever it is that you feel is not serving you at this moment, to allow that to just be evaporated from you. And as you do that, you're going to find that what's just left is only the goodness and perhaps the purity, or perhaps something that reminds you of something of the past. Perhaps it brings you back to an older version of yourself where you were still innocent and where you didn't have the wisdom that you had now, and about life, that is, and other things such as relationships, etc. And now this card is about almost taking away the turmoil and the angst and the difficulty that your life's relationships and life's tribulations might have caused you, and to be able to just get back to the basics, to be able to feel what it is that you felt, what it is that drove you at the beginning, to come back to those earlier impulses, which might have seemed to be a bit naive, if you may look at it in that way, but it's also somehow endowed with love. It's endowed with the purity and innocence that is needing to be right now. I think it's really important to realize that more now than at any time in your life, that you truly are the master of your destiny. So whatever thoughts that you're going to be sowing in your mind is ultimately going to manifest in your life in whichever way it does. And so the idea here is to focus only on what it is that you desire, and only the goodness, and not just what you desire materially, but what you desire for the world, for yourself, for those around you, for those that you love, for those that you work with, to just have it come from a place of deep inside of you, of sincerity and hope and love, and just be able to put that out there simply by thinking it. I think that this for you can be a really interesting time in which this energies at the moment could eclipse away something that no longer belongs to you, that you no longer need. It's almost as if you might have been working on something for some time. For some of you, it might even be a few years, perhaps 5 years or so, or even longer. You've been working on something for a certain amount of time, and it's like you've done all the work that you've needed to do until now, and now it's time to let go of this, let go of that pain that you've had that might have assisted in bringing about the healing that you needed to have in your life, or to be able to help you evolve to another stage or another level of your own soul development. And I feel like right now it's a really great time to be able to release that, whether you want it or whether you don't want it, and it might just come about whether you want it or not. I always find that Alana Fairchild writes really lovely messages in her book. So I'm just going to go ahead and read what she has here for the number 26. So her message reads, "Dear Sacred Rebel, this moment in your life requires great courage. Fortunately, you possess that in bucket loads. You are being asked to allow yourself to be lifted out of one level of known reality and into the next level of higher voltage reality. Higher voltage reality requires a more absolute trust and a heart that is surrendered into the greater heart of the universe, so that life can happen to us, through us, and with us more quickly, more radically, more beautifully, and more boldly. You are now being invited into this new reality where things happen quickly and according to bold, loving optimism. This is a reality not only of potential, but of manifestation of the great big cosmic yes." So she goes on to write about it for the next couple of pages, but I just want to say that for me, that message is completely resonant with the message that I feel here. She has a much better way of articulating it than I do. Sometimes I have the download of what I need to say, and it's really difficult to find the words to put it in, and to be able to express it to you, to be able to share it with you. And so, I might sound a bit vague, or I might sound a bit hesitant, or I might just be a little bit all over the place. But Alana Fairchild here, she articulates this really well. And so I think that what I'm really trying to say is that it's really an important time for you to be able to embrace what is good for you. And there's going to be it's almost, I don't want to say there's going to be great rewards. It's almost like if you don't do this, that it's going to be horrific. I'm sorry to say that, but I mean that energetically, for the energy at the moment. But in terms of this card, I don't see that. I don't see that for you, But I feel like if we don't allow the spiritual energy that is coming to us to come into our lives right now, if we block it simply by holding on to beliefs that no longer apply to us, or holding on to pain that might have occurred 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, or just even, 2 years ago, I think that if we're going to hold on to anything that can potentially have the effect of holding us back, then we are going to be in trouble. And but here I just see the card that's being shown to me, the energy that's being shown to me is you readying yourself to just simply shake off, like a dog shakes off the water from it when it's been, doused with water. Just being able to shake that off. And as you do so, those droplets of negativity are just being dropped out of you, and you're left with who you are. And I think that it's important to be able to peel away the negativity or the realities that are imposed upon us by those around us, that tell us what is real and what isn't real, including the media, including our teachers, including our universities, including all kinds of wherever knowledge comes from, and simply to be able to go within and be at one with yourself. And once you've done that and you've stripped away all the negativity and you're sitting in a space just of pure love, then you're going to feel and know with certainty the way in which you need to proceed. But I guess the big question is, how do you get from where you are right now, if you're not already there, that is, and bring yourself to that place. And I think the way to do it is just basically to let go of anything that's holding you back, and as I've said already, to let go of any pain that you may have that might have been caused to you, or any illusion or delusion that you may have of pain in your life, or perhaps pain that you might have created in your life because you have an expectation, you have a want that is not being fulfilled. And if you remove that want and you remove that expectation, then suddenly you're back at this place where you're at peace. And it's very much a Zen-like experience that we're talking about here, just coming back to the basics, coming back to breath. And I think that that's going to be really what frees you in this week, in this time, in the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be really what allows you to breathe again and allows you to continue to exist here. All right. So I know that sounds a bit weird, the way in which I'm saying it. It's just that to exist is not just to live and to breathe and to go to work or wherever you go to each day. It's more than that. It's to actually vibrate in your soul vibration right here and right now. And if you're not doing that, then you have to ask yourself, what are you here? What are you doing here, really? Are you just a slave to the economy and to the community and community or societal values that are being that are shaping you or being enforced upon you? And ultimately we are here to vibrate in our own soul energy. And this woman or this person here, she's shaking off whatever else is around her. She's creating a space for her, a safe space for her to be able to vibrate in her own soul energy. And I think that you're going to be able to do that much easier this week if you're earthed and if you're not taking in the influences of people around you, that be family members or even your partner, or people who are influential in your life. You know who they are. And just to be able to go within and access that peace in yourself once again. All right. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that has been helpful message for you, and I wish you all the best and all the love in the next couple of weeks. And for those of you who've chosen the second option here, we're asking, what is your weekly oracle card guidance? What is your weekly oracle card guidance? Okay, so this card is the number 44, Visions of Life beyond death. And it's the number 8, when reduced numerologically, including the first option here in this deck was also the number 8. And I think that's actually quite relevant. But here this card is very much, again, in alignment with the energy that we have at the moment. And that being largely that we are accessing emotions, realities, feelings, understandings, we empathizing with previous versions of ourselves, and being able to look beyond our lives and connect with others who are deceased, or others who may have come into your life. If you've had a miscarriage, or if your mom has had a miscarriage, then they are these beings, they are these potential beings that the energy of which exists, and you have here this ability at this time to be able to access and tap into that energy and understand more about it. But I feel that most people are going to experience this, not necessarily with those who are deceased or those who have not come into being, but rather you're going to be experiencing this by being able to tap into earlier versions of yourself, to previous parts of yourself, to perhaps somebody that you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or someone that you was 30 years ago. Obviously this will vary for each one of you. But I think here that there's almost like there's a sense of life, not necessarily your life, but life flashing before your eyes, as in a lot of different influences, a lot of different energy, a lot of different types of feelings, very varied energetic frequencies coming together, coming past your life right now. And you're going to be almost like somebody who's sitting at the window and watching all of this go by. And I think it's going to influence the way in which you continue with your life. It's going to quite heavily influence your perspective and how you choose to continue in this life. Now, I think that in a certain way, what you can also find is that there's a lot of spiritual downloads. There's a lot of information coming your way. And you might find yourself thinking about things differently than you have previously. So you might have been quite fixed on a particular opinion or have some ideas about how things were previously. But now you might be changing your mind about that because you have a different energy around you and you're able to look at things differently. And what might have been truth for you a month ago or previously, whenever that was, maybe whenever that was in the last part of your lifetime, then you're going to find that now you might be able to look at that situation a bit differently, understand things a bit differently, with a lot more compassion, with a lot more empathy, a lot more love and acceptance for that person you might be thinking of, as well as yourself. And I think it's really important that all these different influences come into your life right now to give you a more rounded perspective, to be able to pull you away from any kind of corner where you might have been hiding, and to be able to give you a better understanding, more rounded understanding of what is to be known in your life. And that could vary for each one of you. It could mean something different. For some of you, it could mean something politically. For some of you, it could mean something just regarding your work. For others, it might be something regarding your relationship with your family, your parents, your loved ones. You're just going to get a load of information coming up in the next week and a half, I would say, that gives you a fair deal of insight into situations or events that might have occurred or that might have the potential to occur. I think that it's a time to wisen up, but it's almost like you don't have a choice because it just kind of happens to you. It's not like you're seeking it. It's not like you're sitting there and meditating and hoping the wisdom falls from the sky into your head. It's more like you are shoved with this information, and before you know it, without any effort on your part, you are looking at things differently. You have absorbed that wisdom. It is in effect in your life. I think more than anything here, it's very much a time ahead in this next, say, 10 to 12 days where you're going to find that there's so much more information to be learned and so much more to any given situation than what you thought was previously possible. There's also a sense here of telling yourself what is true. You telling yourself what is true, what is possible, what isn't possible, and living within those very confined barriers or, jail, basically, that you've put yourself into. So really what you believe about yourself and what you believe is possible is what is blocking your path in this moment. So it's almost like this card is encouraging you to say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you all this new information. You're going to look at life a bit differently. You're going to see things in another way. And now, you have the opportunity to be able to change things, to change your boundaries a little bit so that you can allow a little bit more freedom into your life and a little bit more forward movement and development in your life in order to be able to actually really be able to reach where you want to go to, so that you're not stuck in a spin of, oh, I really want this, but it's not going to happen. I really want this, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really want this. I'm putting all my energy behind it. But yeah, I don't know if I'm lucky enough for that to happen. And if you are feeling any of those feelings and you have been blocked in your life by your own thoughts about what is possible and what is not possible, it's time to let that kind of suspend itself for a moment, just to suspend that. It might be, yes, you cannot just fly to the moon unassisted, and that might be a belief that you have, but what if you just suspend that for a moment and think about it, think that perhaps you could just teleport yourself to the moon. And this is a really bad example, I know, but yes, but it's simply, being able to allow things to allow yourself to believe something, even if it's in your heart of hearts or rationality or science tells you that it is not possible. Because what I'm hearing for this card for you specifically is that is where invention begins. That is where creation begins. It begins at a point at which you believe and you imagine something that has that you think is impossible. And so, yeah, I wanna go ahead and actually read from the book of Alana Fairchild here. I just want to see if there's something here that she has to say. So it reads, sacred vision is awakening within you. You are becoming blessed with the ability to truly see what is real rather than what appears to be. This is true insight. What was once considered consequential may soon be found to hold little consequence after all. What was once dismissed as an irritation or irrelevance may be seen to have great spiritual significance. As mundane as something once appeared, it could now be worthy of absolute attention. The gift of genuine vision takes you into the being of the universal creator. This is sacred terrain, beyond logic, convention, and that which is limited in any way. The more open you are to receiving true vision, the more love you will feel and recognize within and around you. Something may appear to change form, to be shed, to be lost, or to die, but there is love within it always. This realization doesn't remove the pain of loss. It does provide a way through which it can be healed and eventually transformed into peace. Okay, so I find that Alana Fairchild's take on her cards are very much in alignment with the energy in which we're moving in this world and where we're headed to, as opposed to a very esoteric kind of new agey perspective. Her works have a more spiritual groundedness, and they truly are there to help an individual, as opposed to make money off an individual by feeding their insecurities and the difficulties that they may have in their life. And that, by the way, is one of the reasons that I struggle to do pick a card readings about whether he loves you or not. It's because it just draws a particular crowd that that happens to be stuck in a particular way. And I feel that these card readings really exacerbate that. They really keep people in that space. And so I try to gear my work to a more empowering, uplifting experience, so that you can, take that and make your lives a little bit better than it already is. And but in this respect, I feel that yes, message here is it does resonate with me. It does. I do feel it is true that you might find that things in the past that have been irritations, have been something that has annoyed you, has actually been there to tell you all along that it needs attention, that you need to pay attention to something, that there needs to be a change in your life in order for you to be able to progress. And at the moment, you might see that more clearly than you have previously. All right. So I'm going to leave it there. If I feel that there's something else that comes up for you, I'll put it, I'll try to put it in the comment section, or I'll create a post about it. All right. I'm sending you much love and many blessings on your way. So for those of you who've chosen the option number 3, we're asking, what is your weekly oracle card guidance? So the message here is listening for truth, and it's the number 36, with which numerologically adds up to 9. I feel like this time is really very much about listening for truth, and as this week it seems to be more important to you than other weeks. And I think that here what the card is saying is that you really need to be able to understand if something resonates with you or not. If it doesn't resonate with you, then you know it, and that's important. And what you decide to do after that is a different matter. But here, what I think it is that you can't just continue at this moment, especially at this moment, in this next 2 weeks. It's not really advised for you to simply continue and be told certain things and to accept them as they are, and to move along. It's really important for you to get to the bottom of how you feel about it. And I'm not talking about feeling in terms of emotions and or what your rational thoughts may tell you about it, whether it's fair or not fair, whether it's correct or not correct. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being able to access, being able to tap into a particular energy within yourself, where you're asking yourself, is this actually true? Is this real? Is what I'm being told actually real? And I think it's really important for you to be able to bring yourself to that place. Now, a lot of us are not necessarily ready for that, or a lot of us, I wouldn't say we're not ready. We're not ready for that, not because we can't hear the information, but we're not ready for it because we haven't been evolved in a society. We haven't been programmed in the society to actually be able to listen to the truth. What we have been programmed to do is to listen to what is being told to you and to obey that, to hear that, to follow suit with what is being told to you, to toe the line, whether that be by your educational institutions, what is expected of you from a society, or from your media, whatever it is, from your government, you are being told what to do. And so we haven't really developed as much as we need to the idea of being able to feel what is right and what is not right, the ability to discern. And I think that in Christianity, discernment is actually developed or considered quite a lot there. But generally in our society, being discerning is not something that is really necessarily celebrated. What is celebrated is, what used to be, I would say, was celebrated was critical thinking. And that was mostly in schools and intellectual circles. Critical thinking was really important. But this card is not talking about critical thinking. It's not talking about being able to weigh up whether something is good and bad by your logical means, but rather to be able to feel, does this resonate with your soul? Is what is being said right now, does that feel right for you at a soul level? Is that true for you at a soul level? Now, this is such an important card, and this is something I've been wanting to talk to the channel about for ages. But yes, I'm not really sure if you're interested in this or not, so I tend not to do it. But I think that a huge thing about this card, which really taps into a bigger knowledge and what's going on energetically right now, is that we all are connected, all right? We're all connected. And in this connection that we share with each other, there is a collective consciousness. And in this collective consciousness, we all know, when we can all tap into, we can all seek out what is true and what is not true. What are we being led to believe, and what is actually the reality of any given situation that may be in this world. It's also a space in which we can tap into how others feel, whether they're being sincere with us or not. Now, this is something that every single one of us has the potential to tap into. And, some of us that work as psychics, we have tapped into that, but that is something it's not a gift that we have. It's something that we all have. We just need to be able to tap into it. It's like being able to tune into the right frequency on your radio, or to be able to put in the right numbers on your safe to be able to access the safe. And it's not something that's not within your reach. Okay. And I feel that this card here, listening for truth, it requires you to be able to tap into that universal consciousness, that collective consciousness, where truth resides, where there cannot be anything but truth. It's almost like an Akashic memory, something that stays throughout the time, before and after. It's an infinite understanding and energy that exists in this world that we can all tap into at any given moment in time. And in order to be able to do that, we need to not be distracted by feelings with regard to love relationships, by feelings and frustrations at work, by concerns about your monetary issues, or by squabbles or disagreements with people around you, including family. It requires you to be able to just put all of that aside and be able to tap into this. And what happens is that most people are at the forefront, in the forefront of their minds, are all these other things, all these things that distract us. And we're constantly being distracted. We're constantly being told what to think, whether it's through advertising or however. And and that is supposed to form almost like the frontal aspect of our brain. It's almost like, well, I don't mean this scientifically, but it's almost like the brain is covered by that reality, or the thinking rather is covered by that reality, I should say. And I think here what this card is saying is that it's time to kind of peel it off and be able to feel what is right, to be able to tap into that consciousness, because we all can do it, and to be able to just discern from that what is real, what isn't real. And I feel that in this coming week, it's going to be quite significant for you. I think that just generally speaking, we are all heading to a place where we can interact intuitively with each other, telepathically, and in which we understand the motivations of all of those around us. And this is a huge energy that we have been moving into for at least the last, I think, 25 to 30 years already. And this is something that, as it heats up, as we move more and more towards this energy, and it would take probably about another 100 years or so, or maybe less, to be able to come into effect fully. But as we move towards that, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a pushback from those that benefit from us not having that knowledge. And you're going to feel that. And yes, and so this week, you're going to, it's somehow for you, those of you who've chosen the number 3 option, it's more important for you. It's more important for you to be able to discern. It's more important for you to get to that place and to practice getting to that place where you can tap into that understanding, that knowledge, that truth, if I may say so, and to be able to understand what is really going on. Now, you might be using this to understand what's going on at a world scale event, at a global scale, or you might be using it just to be able to understand if your professor is being fair to you, if there's some bias that your employer has towards you. You could be using it for anything at all. You could be using it to understand whether a friend is being sincere with you or not. And so this is something that, whatever it is that you are using this energy for, the card merely says it's time to tap into this, it's time to be able to use this, and it's necessary to be able to discern. So I hope I have not rambled on too much there, but I was just trying to give you a kind of perspective, a background to what I'm talking about, because sometimes, I say all these things and they're quite vague. I think that unless you're on the same wavelength or you're thinking in the same way that I'm thinking, you're going to be like, what is she talking about? And so I feel like I needed to kind of give a bit of background around this. So the number 36, listening for truth, is about listening for that truth. It's very much about being able to tap into that. And that's all. It doesn't say at this point that you need to take action. It doesn't say at this point that you need to change your belief system or that you need to move on from that belief system and think in a different direction. In fact, this card, for me, what it says is that just listen and take it in and let it settle for a bit. And take time over the next few weeks and months, perhaps the next 6 to 8 weeks, to understand and to really take into account the magnitude of this realizations that you are going to be coming into as a result of listening for the truth. And I think that later is the time to take action. Later is the time to be able to reveal to yourself even how you've changed, how far you've come, what is actually happening here, what is actually that you're understanding about the world, and how it is that you're going to move forward. Now, I think one of the other things about listening for the truth is that you need to turn down all the clutter around you, turn down all the noise around you. You need to be able to just go inward and listen to yourself. And it feels to me here that if you have a voice in your ear, maybe it's a dominant member of your family, maybe it's a friend, perhaps it's your mother or your partner, whatever it is. If you have a dominant person who's telling you all the time what to do, what to think, and if you feel that your energy is being hindered, or your energy is closing up as a result of this, it's time to be able to create a bigger space for yourself to be able to listen to the truth and to be able to protect that space where you are bringing yourself into the state of discernment. Now, I think that's important. And the reason I'm saying this is because I pick that up with people. I feel like these boundaries can be an issue. And this is why some people are not able to listen for the truth. Perhaps you don't have the time or the space. You're not afforded the space to be able to even think quietly by yourself. And so I think that this week, in this next couple of weeks, it's going to be important for you to be able to find that, to arrange that, to create that for yourself. Now, with the other two options, what I've done is I've gone ahead and read for them from the book of Alana Fairchild called Sacred Rebels. And I'm going to do that with your card as well, because I feel like there might be something in there that I might have missed out, and perhaps it could be useful to you. Okay. So it says here that truth speaks to us constantly, but not always in words. It may communicate through a feeling that is hard to put into words, but brings an inexplicable sense of peace, trust, and the knowledge that somehow everything is going to work out perfectly, even if there's little evidence of how it is all going to happen. You're being asked to listen for the truths beneath the words rather than the superficial message of the words themselves. This is especially true for the communications of those around you, the press, the newspapers, and the mass media. You will begin to hear fear in the words and actions of those around you, even as they preach love. Listen deeper. Listen for the truth. This oracle comes with a message of truth for you. You are hearing something that is not being said, and what you're hearing is truthful. You may feel as though you're the only one that is really ready to hear or see it. Perhaps you've been working in a situation or loving in a relationship where truth is consistently denied. We live in a world where truth is frequently avoided out of fear of what it might reveal. At the basis of such actions, consciously or not, is a deep sense of unhealed, toxic shame. If you or someone else is fearful that the truth will expose rather than free and heal, then some personal healing is required. It is time for letting go of old wounds in favor of a greater sense of self-love and acceptance. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Yes, I feel that this message is also resonant with what I've said. I think also what Alana has added on there is that let's not be afraid of this, of what is true. Let's not be afraid to embrace what is true, because I think innately with truth comes healing. With truth comes light. With truth comes the exposure of something that needs to be burnt away or eroded away. And I think that it can no longer fester once there's truth, once there's a light shone upon it, and it no longer has the perfect environment to exist. And it's the beginning, it really is the beginning in many ways of everything else that follows after that. Yes, or it could be seen as the last block or the last phase of what had been before the new beginning. So I think that is also quite significant in terms of this week, in terms of the eclipse that's taking place and what's coming up as well. And I definitely think that all three cards this week have definitely resonated with the energy that's about. And so in different ways, if you are interested, I would suggest go ahead and listen to all three of the readings. Perhaps they resonate, perhaps they have a message for you that you need to hear. All right, so I'm wishing you all a very blessed week ahead, and I'm wishing you much love and good health and well-being as you continue in this world. Be safe and be well, and blessings abound from Kismet Rising.